Hey guys, it's Evan. It's early November, and I just got back from the Manchester, New Hampshire Reptile Expo. It's one of my favorite in the areas. It's just I know a lot of the people there. It's one of the bigger ones. It's in New Hampshire, so you get a lot of variety and you see some cool stuff. And also just has a lot of opportunity with a lot of different vendors. So I always try to go out and at least show up there. And I vended today with the Maine Herp Society. So I was at their table, sold a few snakes. So thank you if you grabbed a snake for me. And I just wanted to show you what I came home with because as exciting as it is to vend and just see people, you're always wondering about what you're going to come home with at an expo. And I'll just tell you that expos are really exciting and they can be overwhelming and they can also be a place to impulse purchase. So I'll just tell you, I'll tell you what I got today and I'll tell you kind of my thoughts on these things. So the first thing I got is I got a nice new snake hook. So I actually find it pretty darn hard to find a good snake hook. I think there's a lot of bad snake hooks out there. And in terms of why I needed another one, it's because I just wanted to have a second run because I have enough animals now. I wanted to have them stashed around the room in a couple different places. And sometimes you need to use them in tandem, especially with like thin, fast pythons that will turn around and food biking things. So it's nice to have a second one. And so I got a little bit of a larger one. So now I have two bigger ones. The other thing I'll tell you is I don't like real long ones, like 36 inches, 48 inches, way too long for use inside rooms and things. But this is my old snake hook. This is actually my favorite one. It's probably 30 years old by now because I got it when I was a kid. I actually got it before I was really into snakes. It was almost like a prop for my fantasies of snake keeping. But this is actually the best snake hook I've ever run across. And it's just the right length. I like this nice big handle. It's a light aluminum. It's welded here, so it's really well made. And just the geometry of the hook is really good. And it's rare to find one quite like this. I just, for whatever reason it is. It's also a 3/8 inch diameter hook rather than a 1/4 inch, which I think is important on snake hooks. But the other thing I tell people is when you buy a snake hook, the point on the hook should stick out significantly further than the shaft. So like this, because a lot of what you're doing is using this thing to not actually hook, but you're actually using it to like put it in front of the snake so when you reach in, it's not going to hit you. It can't just reach around and strike you. But that's a very important geometry thing. So the tip of the hook extends significantly past the shaft. So it should about as how far deep the hook is from the shaft to the bottom of the hook, it should extend about that far out. That's what I think the right geometry is. And so I found this one with MH Ball Pythons, Matt and Catherine Hanlon. They vend a lot of the local Northeast shows and they were selling these. They sell a lot of other dry goods like from Redline Science and things. They're good guys in the hobbies. If you want to need anything like that, they also sell ball pythons and some other animals. But they're good guys. If you need any of your dry goods and you're at a show in the new Northeast, go look out for Matt and Catherine Hanley. That's who I got them from. So I'm excited about that. The next thing I got, I'm pretty excited. I've been looking for a good option for a while. I've been struggling to recommend a caging option for people who are purchasing baby children's pythons from me. And the reason being is children's pythons are so small, they can escape from virtually anything. You can't keep them in a normal rack. You can't keep them in a lot of cages. You definitely can't keep them in a sliding front cage. And I'm just really uncomfortable recommending an enclosure to people that is secure. Other than what I've been recommending is for them to get large food Tupperwares because they're air and liquid tight and then melt tiny little air holes in them. But that's not a super satisfying option for a lot of people, especially if you only have one because you wanted to look nice and have a display. So I found these acrylic breeding cases. They're ReptiZoo breeding enclosures, crystal acrylic. The model number is ACR01B and the dimensions are 300 by 200 by 150 millimeters. So they're like 12 by 8 by 6 inches tall. I tell people that for baby children's pythons, you want something about the size of a sheet of paper, and this is kind of perfect, but it's got a sliding top with lots of ventilation, which I think is good for them. It's got a crystal clear front view like this and a black box. So I'm going to prototype these with a couple of my holdbacks this year, and I'm actually show you how I'm going to set them up so you can get an idea if you want to online. But my ultimate goal is for next year to come out and have a handful of ready-made kits on my table for people to take home. And my goal is to get you the enclosure, the heat mat, some substrates, a couple of accessories, and an IR temp gun for $75 to $100. I'm going to see how much it costs me putting them together. And I'm actually not going to upcharge them that much because I want to have them ready for people that are buying the animals and just so that you are confident that you're ready to go, because I think a lot of people pass on purchasing my snakes, children's pythons, because responsibly they don't have the enclosure set up. So I'm really excited about these. It's actually been pretty hard to find something that is attractive and I think is going to be secure enough and that I can still keep in that price point. So these will set up a children's python for at least a year, and by the time they outgrow this, they can go into a regular cage. So I'm going to make a video showing how I set these up, and hopefully I'm going to prototype them on my own children's pythons. So if they're not escape proof or they don't work out right, I'm going to incur that risk rather than have my customers do it. And hopefully next year I will be able to offer these for sale as a kit and not much of a markup. And also hopefully I'll be able to just put online how I've done this, so that you guys can reproduce it if you're not local to me. But I got this from a company, also a local vendor at a lot of the Northeast shows called Reptile Deli. They're also great people too. I buy a lot of my dry goods from them. They don't sell too many animals, they sell a few animals, but they're just young and enthusiastic and honest and decent people. So Reptile Deli, they're at the Manchester. I see them at a lot of different ones. They're good people. Go ahead and purchase from them. I purchased all this stuff full price. I didn't get any discounts. I'm just telling you, Matt and Catherine Hanlon, Reptile Deli, I always like to see them. They always treat me right. So there you go for that. Actually, when I prototype these, I'm going to use the heat in this rack. Just because I have it all set up, and also hopefully if they get out, it will secondarily contain them in there. Now here's the most exciting thing I have. I got it at the Manchester Reptile Expo yesterday, and you know, I'm never planning on getting animals. I shouldn't say that. I go with the mindset that I'm not going to get animals unless I find the holy grail animal at Reptile Expos. And it's not so much that I don't think it's a good place to buy reptiles. I think there's pros and cons to it, but I think it's a fine place to buy reptiles if you are not doing it impulsively. So one of the things I always do is I bring an insulated container with me. Even if you don't plan on buying animals, even if it's relatively warm, you should bring some sort of insulated container. This is a little insulated shipping box. Or a lunchbox or something like that. Everybody that goes to a reptile show should come with a little insulated container, because it was 39 degrees yesterday and people are selling tropical animals, and I didn't see many people with insulated containers, but that's just something you should do that's responsible. But pretty excited about what's in here. I'm just going to show it to you. Let's see how it is. I got nothing. I got no living animals. And I just wanted to tell you guys that it's kind of actually a good thing for me, is I'm at the point where I see animals occasionally at shows that I want. It's very rare for me to see an animal at a show at this point that I want, and it's the right situation, meaning the right timing for me, the right price. I have the ability to quarantine animals. And right now, I don't have those abilities. My quarantine setup is full. I don't want to bring in more animals. I'm kind of at capacity as far as my keeping and my enthusiasm goes, because I have a bunch of new litters. I'm doing some other projects, and so I just sat on my hands and I didn't get any animals. There were some good deals out there and some nice animals, but I just wanted to tell you guys that I think that there's kind of a culture of coming back from a reptile show and getting something every time, and that's fine. But also, it's fine not to get something. I tell people, if you don't get an animal and you really need to scratch that itch, buy a house plant. That's what I do. It's pretty fun. But anyway, so that's what I got at the reptile show today, and I tell you guys, and I hope that you all enjoyed it yesterday. I was glad to see a bunch of you. Thank you to the people that purchased animals from me, and also just I hope that you guys enjoy what you're doing and focus on the things that you have that are already good, and just keeping those at the best you can, and yeah, just enjoy the hobby however it's going. So thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.